The Honourable the Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My friends, this feels like the end of one journey but a beginning of another, and I want to thank the people of Humber Gros Morne for giving me the great honour of representing them in this House of Assembly. Decades ago, I spent a couple of weeks on the road with my father and uncle as they campaigned themselves on the west coast of our beautiful island. Newfoundland and Labrador was a different place back then. In a way, it was impossible to conceive the province would become what it has. Pre-oil boom, pre-moratorium. Indeed, we have come a long way, yet we still have a long ways to go. We need more diversity here in the legislature and beyond to take a gender-plus lens when it comes to decision-making, along with a healthy Indigenous lens. The province needs more progress on truth and reconciliation. Indigenous voices are being heard. I personally appreciate the frank conversations that I've had with multiple leaders. It's important to our government to work closely with Indigenous partners, and I pledge to continue to do so. Decades ago on that west coast, I was introduced to a part of the province that looked more like a painting than the real world through my young eyes in the back seat of a Ford station wagon. I remember feeling a sense of awe and looking out at the ocean crashing against the shore with the background of the Green Mountains off in the distance on the other side. And thinking about just how special this place is, a feeling that frankly has never wavered. I met people there that would give me the warmest hug as they knew my dad from when he taught long ago in Stephenville. I was also introduced to the ideas and ideals of what it meant, what it still means, to commit yourself to being part of public service. The responsibility of it, and never forgetting who you represent and why. I listened to the ideas of how health and education must always be supported and fostered, and that no matter what we may hear from detractors at home and abroad, that this place, our home, is worth fighting for. I've carried that West Coast journey with me, and it's always smoldered deep inside, no matter if I was in an operating room in Baltimore or in a tent doubling as an emergency room in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. It's a call, frankly, that we all have answered, and a feeling we all have felt, no matter our backgrounds or our political stripe. We are all here for this province. Its undefeatable people, its undeniable future. That journey of decades ago has ended here today, but another one, my friends, has just begun. President Lincoln contended that a person's true character can be revealed by giving them power. That applies to all of us here today, not just me. The province of Newfoundland and Labrador wants to know what we will do collectively, not just the Premier, not just the Liberal Party, not the PCs, the NDP, or the Newfoundland Alliance. The people want to know collectively how each and every one of us working together will help deliver this place from the crisis that we are now in. Because the pandemic and the virus doesn't care about who leads us. Oil prices are indifferent to political parties and their policies. And poverty, the health of our seniors, those are not Liberal issues, those are Newfoundland and Labrador issues. These are our issues. Everyone in this room here today, everyone occupying a position in public service, and every person outside the House of Assembly, every person that we represent on this very floor. We are responsible, my friends, to find those answers. It's a lot on all of our shoulders, and the pandemic is no longer at arm's length. As we have seen elsewhere in Canada, it doesn't take much for the spread to rebound as thoughts of further lockdown continue to loom for many across our country. Back in February, no one really understood the damage COVID-19 would cause to the economy as well as to the population. We made, collectively, you all made, the tough calls. And today we record the lowest number of cases in the country. Yes, it has come at a tremendous cost, but we have made the right choice with the welfare of the people of this province in mind. Talks of a second wave, as well as COVID-19 fatigue, present new challenges for each and every one of us. But we are better prepared today to face whatever comes next. And if we continue to listen to the advice of Dr. Fitzgerald and Minister Haggie, we will all collectively make it through. We've been successful so far in working with the federal government in supporting our oil industry and the thousands of workers here in the province living with the uncertainty we all feel. In my short time in our office, our government has secured $320 million from Ottawa to support oil and gas workers in this province. And $26 million to support a safe return to school for students and teachers alike across our province. We have enlisted an experienced team representing industry and workers to make sound recommendations to government on how to best maximize that money. You can see it in Budget 2020, today, tomorrow, together. Our government is deeply committed to supporting families through these global health and economic crises. We managed to keep the deficit to $1.8 billion. That's less than the forecasted $2.1. We've allocated close to $100 million to future pressures associated with COVID-19. $2.1 million is going to advance efforts to attract and retain immigrants to help stabilize our population. Small businesses and community organizations can avail a $30 million small business assistance program. Our budget includes more than $20 million for tourism, arts, and culture. They are the very fabric of this province and help build vibrant communities, particularly in our rural communities. Budget 2020 also features exciting investments in the technology sector, which affects and is an investment in all other sectors. It contributes more than $1.6 billion to the provincial economy while employing more than 4,000 people and is set to add 2,000 more jobs in short order. And speaking of jobs, I must highlight the fishery here. Newfoundland and Labrador was founded on the fishery, and to this day it continues to be a major renewable industry in our province. More than $9 million is being invested in the development its development for the future of the fishery in this budget. We are also, of course, implementing $25 a day childcare, which will help unlock untold economic benefits. More money will go to support women's and anti-violence organizations and to provide stable housing and services to those who need them most. The budget has roughly $80 million for healthcare infrastructure funding. And among other budget highlights I'm proud of, there are investments in initiatives to develop the province's booming mining and continuing to contribute to a future, a sustainable, strong, responsible future in oil and gas. Our government is focused on helping people as well with opportunities to live healthy and active lifestyles, even as we all collectively as families try to navigate the nuances of COVID-19. Look, like many of you, I wish I could snap my fingers and make it all better and raise the price of oil on a global stage. But no one can. And if we're all being honest, we all know that. But the most worthy of things is worth the hardest fight. And that's why collectively, every one of you and every one of us collectively cannot stop that fight. As a government, we're not going to stop fighting for change, for a prosperous future for Newfoundland and Labrador. I just don't want to waste time fighting each other instead. We have to be less partisan with each other. We have to put the province first. We are facing challenges today that no other government in this legislature or the ones before have ever faced. This is not a generational challenge. This is a historic challenge. To the members opposite, I don't want to squander the opportunity to work together and to answer those who think that we as Newfoundland and Labrador are finished, that the credits are actually rolling on this movie, because nothing could be further from the truth. For those who believe that, they don't know our people, our history. We carve our own new roads. We write the best comeback stories. But I still hold true to that statement I made, that we must try to put our differences aside and approach these challenges collectively. I will continue to invite the best minds to come to the table as we work through these tough challenges. Ideas are a hot commodity, and thankfully, we come from a place with a surplus. Right now, we need the doers. We need the ones determined to answer why with the most inventive and effective version of how. One other battle that we all face here today is one that can inflict more damage than any pandemic and can have far greater reach. It's against the battle of pessimism and negativity. It is indeed one of the toughest battles we face. I had a reporter just last week ask me why I would want this job, because the place is almost bankrupt and suffocating under the weight of its own debt. And social media is full of cynics, and you've all heard them, self-proclaimed experts, all with more attitude than answers. My friends, collectively, this legislature, we cannot allow this pessimistic infection to spread. And that means it must stop here. There's no doubt that we've heard enough political rhetoric in the last 6 months to last 6 lifetimes. But I think we all need to hold each other to a higher, more responsible Newfoundland and Labrador standard. To encourage respectful, insightful debate, and to have the courage to stand up for ideas that are what's best for the province, and to passionately challenge those that are not. Not for party turf, Facebook hits, or personal gains, because we don't have the wiggle room right now for an unwise choice. Not now, not against what we face. Now, I know some of you over there and some outside are thinking that I'm naive, that it won't happen, that we will wait for the grand moment when it can be said that I couldn't even live up to this standard. Well, the challenge is yours. If that is the case, I won't just live with it, but I will learn from it. No one is perfect. But at the very least, in this room and the proud place that it surrounds, we should expect only the very best of ourselves and each other. From that old Ford station wagon traveling through the towns and bays along the west coast, I know now that the journey that brought me here today is only a midpoint in a race, a base camp of a climb. I know exactly how hard it will be. I know that what we will ask of ourselves in this legislature will pale in comparison to what we will ask of the province. But between doubt and boldness, I choose to be bold every single time, and I hope you all do too. Thank you very much.